candidates and hear their views for the Board of Education election, which is coming up on May 21st. I just want to go over, mostly for the viewing public, and I know you all probably have an agenda in your hand. Moderator this evening is going to be Town Supervisor Michael Sweeten. When we get started, each candidate will have a chance to make an opening statement. They will each have 3 minutes. They are seated in valid order, which is done by drawing. So it's not alphabetical, it's not the order they hand things in. They do an actual drawing, and that's the order that they will be on the ballot. So that's the way they're sitting classified valid order. After their opening statements, there are prepared questions. There are 7 prepared questions. That way each candidate will have a chance to go first on the questions. That's the fairest way to do it. And then we will go to the submitted questions. For the questions, each candidate will have 1 minute, 1 times minute, to answer the question. They will be told when their time is getting ready to be up. There's a 30-second minute, so you know there's a 30-second sheet, and then there will be a time is up. After the prepared questions, they will have the submitted questions that you all have been writing down. We'll have students kind of circulating around and watching. If you think of another question that you want to ask, just raise your hand. They'll have cards you can ask them, or you can raise a card up if you have one in your hand, and they'll come get it for you, so you don't have to get up and move around. We have 2 teachers here who are sorting questions, so that we don't ask 13 questions of the same thing. They'll sort them out and make them all kind of one question, so we can get through as many different issues as possible. At the end, I believe, did I get a closing statement or no?
You'll just thank everybody.
Okay. And then we're trying to keep this to a 1-hour event. We appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I know it's busy. 31 days in May, and everything seems to be all on the same night. So it's great to see a lot of people out. So thank you very much. And Mr. Sweeten?
Thank you. And first of all, I just want to thank all of the candidates for getting involved in the issue of education. It's a tough time to be in education, and you deserve a lot of credit for getting into this. So thank you all for that. Those of you who can't see the names, you have Shannon Hoxwender, Teresa Warren, Paula Cornine, Eileen Gagliano, Sophia Georges, Robert Howe, and Keith Parsons. And again, they are in the order in which they will appear on the ballot. So I welcome all of you. And Shannon, you go first on the opening statement. I don't know if are they working the microphones?
They have to push the button.
Push the button and hold it, right?
Yes, you have to make sure you hold the button down.
Hi everyone, my name is Shannon Hoxwender, and I'm running for a Board of Education position because I care about our community and our kids and their education. I grew up in Vernon, New Jersey, and my parents moved to Warwick in 1990, and my family has lived here since then, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, and it's been a wonderful experience for me to grow up here because I've been able to see how the town and the community changes over time. Before my husband and I had kids, I was an elementary school teacher. I worked with children who had special needs as a resource room teacher, and then I was also a classroom teacher. I taught children in 1st grade and 5th grade. I had opportunities to work in school districts that were affluent, and also I had the opportunity to work in high-need school districts like those in Newark, New Jersey. And both experiences taught me different things about education. My husband and I moved to Warwick in 2002 to raise our family, and my kids have really hit the jackpot with great teachers. They love their schools, their teachers, and their classmates. When they went back to school, I went back to work as a preschool teacher at Kids Clubhouse in Warwick. I enjoyed my time there because I got to know a lot of the families throughout the district, and I learned a lot about what parents are concerned about in their child's education. Now I work part-time from home as an educational consultant. I design lesson plans and curriculum for teachers to use in their classrooms, and I spend a lot of time volunteering at Sanfordville School where my children are enrolled. I'm a PTA member. I was the co-producer of the Annie drama production, and my children are both enrolled in the Partners in Education PI program, so I'm active in their classrooms. I'm really excited about running for the school board. And I think my teaching background will be an asset just because I'll be able to provide input with an educator's perspective. I have taken coursework in public policy, advocacy, and assessment, which are all topics that a Board of Ed member needs to be informed in. If I'm elected to the school board, I will work hard to make sure our children receive quality education. Thank you.
My name is Teresa Warren. First, I'd like to thank everyone who is here this evening. I think it's important as a community that we remain involved parents, taxpayers, teachers, political leaders. As a district, I believe we are our greatest asset. As a mother of 2 children and a taxpayer, I have a vested interest in our school district. I graduated from the University of Buffalo with a bachelor's in communication. Following my graduation, I worked as a media buyer for General Mills, for Saatchi & Saatchi Advertising, where I negotiated multi-million-dollar ad deals throughout the country. After I had my daughter Sophia, I decided to leave the advertising world and Long Island, and I moved up to Warwick in the fall of 2004. I chose Warwick because of its community and great school district. A few years later, I had my son Dylan, who is currently a first grader in our school system. Dylan struggles in school. At the beginning of this school year, he was failing basically every test, and he could barely read. His amazing teachers and principals stepped in, set him up with additional help in reading, math, and OT. I'm proud to say he's now reading close to grade level, and his last math test he got a 90 on. He still has a long way to go, but I have full confidence that our school district will not let him down. I mention this story to point out what amazing and dedicated teachers, staff, and programs we have in our district. Whether the children or students are like Dylan and need extra help, or they're like my daughter Sophia, who needs to be constantly challenged. I decided to run for the Board of Ed because I feel like it's time for a change. In the past year, I've sat through board meetings, read articles in our papers, post on Facebook, and see a community divided. I'm disheartened by this. In a time of limited state funding, declining enrollment, taxpayers being taxed out of their homes, we cannot afford to fight each other. As a proven team leader and developer, I want to bridge the gaps in our community. We need to stand together as a united front to work for a better tomorrow. If elected, I promise to be completely transparent with our community. I will always be open to questions pertaining to my reasoning and stance regarding school policies and decisions. I will work to reunite our community, bringing us back together as a team with one common goal, the success of our district. I will offer creative and innovative ways to help alleviate our funding and budgetary issues. I will constantly look for new sources of revenue for our district. I will begin to work with our municipal partners to help widen our tax base through economic development. I want to be an advocate and voice for our taxpayers, teachers, parents, and especially for our children. In closing, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone else up here with me. We're all here today because we care about our district and our students, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Good evening, my name is Paula Cornway. My husband and I moved to Warwick in January of 1991. We have 6 children from ages from 25 to 5. We primarily, with the exception of my daughter coming to middle school for 8th grade, have been involved with Catholic schools. But I feel that the Board of Ed and the public school system is really vital to our community. And with the talk of closing a school, I started attending meetings and wanted to get more involved in the decision-making process to, like Teresa said, try to bridge the divisiveness in the community. And that's about it. I have no prepared statement, but thank you for being here and enjoy the process with the Board of Ed.
Hi, I'm Anita Adriano, and I've called Warwick my home for about 17 years now. I'm a mom of 2 boys, wife, a preschool teacher, and admin at the preschool. I've been a PTA mom since 2008. I was PTA president during our last time of transition when Pine Island closed. So I know what that's like, and that was, I'm glad that I was able to be a part of that. But we welcomed the Sanfordville families that came over to our school with open arms, and I couldn't even tell you which one is a Sanfordville family anymore from back then, because it's all our home now. I'm heavily involved in my church. I lead several church ministries. But one of my, tied to the preschool, one of my more passionate things is the program that we started recently, which is an outreach to families who have children that don't speak English or just learning English. So, and being bilingual and Latino descent, that's something I was very passionate about, and I'm very, very happy about that program. It's something very proud I want to see it grow. I'm excited to get to know all the candidates tonight. I'm excited that so many people are out and getting involved, to see all the faces. I've been going to Board of Ed meetings. I've been going to them since 2008. I used to watch them on cable before that. But it's really exciting to see the room this full and to see this many people involved. And I'm glad that you're going to get faces to match up to those names that you see in the paper in the coming weeks. And in all the social media, it helps to know that there's a human being attached to all those names. So I look forward to all this. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone, my name is Sophia George. I come to Warwick by way of Brooklyn, New York. And the number one reason I came to Warwick is because of the school district. I literally was online searching for a home, and the number one thing that grasped me was this district. I came here on a Saturday, met with a realtor, looked at 7 homes, and purchased the first house that I saw. That's how strongly I felt about the community once I was able to take a drive around and really love the surroundings. My daughter is now 13. She's in the middle school, 7th grade, and she is, and all the children of Warwick are the reason I'm sitting here today. With my busy schedule, I never thought I'd be able to be here at this moment and running for that. A little bit about my background. I am an accountant. I graduated from John Jay. Yeah, I know. Accepted to law school and became an accountant. But I worked for Court TV for about 8 years, which is now True TV. Many of you may know it. I was a project forecast manager, worked on the show's budgets, so my strong asset or contribution to the Board of Ed would be in the accounting field. I currently hold the position of Assistant Controller at Crystal Healthcare, and I, on a monthly basis, prepare and analyze financial statements. Because I know the number one issue of the district now is the budget, I feel that my background will greatly help in balancing the budget and really find comfort and analyze the numbers. I'm excited to be here. Like I said, I never thought I'd be in this position, moving to Warwick 10 years ago, but I really hope to make a change in the community. And I have to say also that in the development where I live, a lot of people do not know what's going on within the district. I decided to run for Board of Ed when I went to the school board meeting regarding the vote of closing the school, and I was disheartened by the fact that Dr. Barnett said there would be another school closing in a year or so. And to me, that just kind of breaks my heart, and I feel like there has to be other alternatives for us to move forward instead of closing schools. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bob Howe. I've lived in the district since 1981, and I've been on the school board since 1993. I have a degree in business. I owned a bookstore for 10 years, and I worked in construction for a number of years, and I business in Pine Island, where I've been for the last 20 years. I have 2 children who went through the school district. I have a love of education. I was involved with a parent-run school for a number of years. It's a school that was the model for our PI program. I first became involved with the school board because I wanted to know why our taxes were going up all the time. I served for 3 years on the district financial committee before I decided to run for the board. People ask me why I stay on the board, why I'm running again. This was probably the year that I questioned it the most. But then I looked at what's coming up for the next 3 years. And number 1 reason that I'm running for the board is that, again, is that the most important function for a school board is the selection of a superintendent who meets the goals and the direction of the community and the board. And this coming year, we will be electing a new superintendent. I have the experience of having worked with 3 superintendents who were totally different. I want to bring that experience to the process of finding a new superintendent. The second reason is we are in the process for the last 3 years as a board doing long-range planning, changing the culture of the schools to meet the needs of the 21st century rather than the 20th century. I want to keep that continuity going. And the third reason I'm running is, 30 seconds left. Third reason I'm running is because, and this will perhaps surprise many of you, but 60% of the homes in Warwick do not have children in our school district. I feel it is important to represent that part of the community in our district. So I also bring an objectivity and a caring to our district because of my experience, and I wish to continue that. So I thank you very much.
My name is Keith Parsons, and my reason for pursuing a spot on the Board of Education is pretty simple. I want to bring fresh ideas, creative solutions, and promote responsible fiscal decisions. I believe everyone in the school district should have an equal say regardless of where they live. Recent events are what prompted me, by several people where I live, to run for the board. Due to my objective and rational decision making, and the fact that I'll make decisions based upon the greater good. I've been a resident of the district for the past 10 years. I currently have 2 kids within the school district, and a third that will start within a couple of years. I've been married, I've been with my wife for 16 years. I've spent 9 years in the telecommunications industry prior to my last 7 in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm here because I have a vested interest. I have 2 children, as I said before, within the district, and the third that is going to start. I'm in this for the long term. This is not something that I plan on doing for 1 term if I am elected. I've seen the closing of 2 schools in the past several years, and I think that we can do better as a community. Our children really deserve better than closing our schools. There are outside factors that everybody has cited, whether it be on social media or in newspapers, that impact us financially. But I'm a fiscal conservative. My wife will say I'm cheap, but that's a difference. Simply stated, I really look for alternative means of saving money. We need to look beyond what's on the surface and dig deep into every situation that's going to impact our students as well as our taxpayers. Difficult decisions always need to be made, but I believe there are ways other than other ways to do it other than closing schools and cutting programs. We don't have that many schools left to cut. My commitment to you is change and an unwavering intensity to do what is right and represent everyone, student, parent, and taxpayer. I'll ask the difficult questions. I'll vote for the most fiscally responsible decision that impacts our students the least and be transparent with everybody when doing so. I'm looking forward to serving the community as an objective advocate for the children, as well as also the taxpayers of our community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. We're going to start with the 7 prepared questions. We'll work our way down, and you'll just get a chance 1 minute to answer that. Okay, here's the question. As a member of the school board, you're required to devote long hours, help shape education policies, be able to understand complex education issues, and show leadership that will help the district move forward. That said, how have you already shown a commitment to our district over the years through either volunteering, serving on district committees, or otherwise working to improve opportunities for students? Shannon.
Well, I think the most recent one that I'd like to talk about is my involvement in the Partners in Education program, the PI program. In the beginning of the school year, one of the teachers approached me about creating an information website as a way for parents to connect with each other. So I interviewed several of the PI teachers, and I created a website for the parents to go to. So it's the Warwick PI blog, and parents are able to go on it, see what's going on in the classrooms, and take a look at photos and see the stories. It's just a great resource and a way for us to connect. Thank you.
I've been a member of the King's PTA. I served on their yearbook committee. My kids are involved in, actually they're involved in Little League, that's what they like. I take the time to get to know every parent in the district, no matter where you're from, whether you're from the village, whether you're from the town. I think my greatest asset in helping kids is bridging the gaps in the community. The kids, they don't care if they go to Park or Sanfordville. They don't look at a student on their softball team and say, 30 seconds left. They don't look at it and say, oh, I know you, you go there. They just want to have fun. And you really need to look at that when looking at the kids.
I haven't had a tremendous amount of time to get involved before. I started back in the fall just attending town hall meetings, as Mr. Sweeten could attest to, and just getting more actively involved now that my children are older. And I'm making the time to just investigate other school boards and how they're saving money and what they're doing to try to bridge this financial gap that they're all facing. So I feel like I haven't really been too involved in school board and PTA or anything like that, but I have more time now than I ever did, and I'm looking forward to doing the investigative work to see what could save our school system.
As I mentioned, I've been active in the PTA since 2008. During that time, aside from being a PTA president, I revamped our enrichment program at our school, which used to run just for 4 weeks. And we saw, and I spoke with the principal about this the year before. A whole bunch of cuts were made to after-school programs, and we saw an opportunity to turn something that was kind of a fun thing for 4 weeks into something that can actually fill the need. And we now have an enrichment program that goes from September through May. 30 seconds. So the enrichment program is a major change that I feel that I've contributed. And then my work with the Spanish community doesn't end with our church and the preschool. I actually get phone calls because a lot of people need to use emergency contact because I can translate for them and explain things. Oh, my time's up, so.
Sophia?
Unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of opportunities to be involved in school as much as I would like to be. Between my daughter's activities and shuffling all with Warwick, I haven't really had the time, but now that she's a little bit older and she's 13 years old, her activities have settled down. I feel like I will be able to dedicate more time and the board as well as other aspects of the community.
Bob?
My wife has finally stopped saying, you said it was only going to be one night a month. Since I've been on the board, Popularity is not my focus. I have upset a superintendent big time because I helped create a morale committee for the district because at a certain point morale was terrible here in our district. In the middle school, at one point we were designated as a top-of-the-line middle school because 75% of our kids received threes and fours on their scores. But I kept saying, what about those other 25%? And I helped create an after-school health program for the middle school. I also was a founding member of the Arts and Music Committee when we first started to, time is up. First started to involve the music program and bringing it up to top level. Thank you.
I've been a King's PTA member for pretty much as long as my kids have been there. I've helped set up PTA events, whether it be King's Carnival, breakdown, things like that. I've been the bingo caller for the last couple of years. There's gotten me some notoriety. But baseball coach here in Warwick Valley for the past 4 years, and sure I'm managing a team finally. And I'd say that the biggest thing that I can do to improve things for our children is me sitting in front of you here tonight.
Good. Thank you. Okay, second question, we'll start with Teresa on this one. Our world is constantly changing. Many of the jobs our children and grandchildren hold do not currently exist. How should we be preparing our students to enter this constantly changing global marketplace? And are there any academic areas that you would like to see further developed?
I was lucky enough to go to Ramapo Central School District. I don't know if you know much about the school district, but the high school has its own working planetarium. It's amazing. I know we have trouble with funding, but that was donated to our school. I think we need to look for other resources and other ways to get creative program like that. Like our PIE program offers something different. We don't know what the jobs of tomorrow are going to be today, but we need to focus on creating an academic environment which affords each student with the necessary skills and tools to reach their highest potential.
I don't think we need any more programs or anything like that. I just think we need to get back to basics in education and developing good thinkers and good moral kids that we can be proud of. I did look up the list of the books that President Lincoln read, and I didn't bring it with me. But I think if we, I don't know anyone who doesn't think Abraham Lincoln was a good man and a good president, and if we maybe went back and looked at the books he read and incorporated them into our curriculum, and I don't always think that more is better.
Well, I think we have some strong programs. What I'd like to see is more taking advantage of some of the talent that we have in our community and having our community really support our schools, because these kids we're expecting them to come out and be civic-minded community members. It's kind of a cycle, and I really would like to see more support from the community and us to bring some of the talent that we have in Warwick, because it's a very talented community.
The businesses are now really going from more of a manufacturing company, as you mentioned, a lot of jobs that used to be out there, no longer out there, to more of a service type of businesses. I was fortunate to be in a program when I was in high school called the co-op program, where I worked 1 week and went to school 1 week. I was fortunate to work with Smith Barney, who's now Solomon, at the age of 15, 16 years old. That provided me with a great aspect of business, professionalism, and once I graduated from high school, I was able to make a lot of great networks, and that helped foster my career going forward.
planning exactly on this topic. We're focusing on developing critical thinkers, problem solvers, and students who are technologically proficient. In that regard, we have focused on small class sizes. We have the smallest class sizes in Orange County. Also, we've been able to keep programs viable. And we need to keep going forward with this type of thinking and planning. Thank you.
Our school district was named today as the only one that actually met the state standards in the county. So for that, I commend all the teachers. But we need to build on the core curriculum, make that core curriculum solid, work on instruction, and the assessment going forward. And we need to really embrace technology, because as everybody sits up here and everybody sits in the audience, the jobs that we have today weren't around when we were in school either. So as long as you have that solid core curriculum, and you can base all your learning based upon that, you'll be prepared for the future.
Thank you. Okay, Paula, we'll start with you on this one. Looking forward to the next 3 years.
Should I answer?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, Mark. I'm sorry.
Okay, I think two things will be important for the future for students. Community service opportunities and technology. I think our kids need to be able to take in a large amount of information and be able to sift through it and solve problems, so technology is very important. It would be great to see online classes or opportunities for kids to Skype with classrooms on the opposite side of the world, which you can do now through different websites. So those would be some unique programs that we could offer to the students. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, now Paula. Looking forward to the next 3 years, what are 3 things you would want to change or improve upon at the Warwick Valley School District?
I'd like to, one of my goals, or I shouldn't say it's a goal, but one of my concerns is the closing of King's. I don't have any children in King's, but King's, I know, is a really strong community. I know Park's a strong community, and one of the things I would like to focus on, although I don't know if it's fait accompli, but my focus would be on trying to really desperately keep those communities strong. I think it's important for kids to have a small school setting at such a young age. That's one thing. 2 of the things I would change.
What 3 things would you want to change or improve?
I guess the fiscal problems that we all are aware of. I would like to, try to help tweak that and get to a point where we're not at the end of the year, end of the budget season, in such desperate straits.
Thank you. Eileen?
First, I'd like to see more opportunities for parents to get involved, for community members to get involved. Like I said, this is a nice full room today, but it's not always like that. And maybe it's just a communication thing, and communication has improved so much over the years, but there's always room for more improvement. And more opportunities for enrichment as for students.
Okay.
I didn't actually touch one of the key points that I was going to say, which is communication. Throughout this process of King's being closed, or even Pine Island, and in talking to my neighbors and people in the community, no one has any idea what's going on within the community. I think we need to do a better job in getting the information out there. And I've asked the question in the past, and I was just told, oh, go on the Facebook page. Well, not everyone is on Facebook, believe it or not. The second thing I would change is, I guess it goes along with communication, is transparency. Again, I'm on the website, online, looking at the some of the information on the website. And to me, it makes absolutely no sense. I'm looking at things that are not granular enough to make an informed decision. I think we need to do a better job in getting that information to the community. And the third thing I said I would definitely work on is restore the faith in the Board of Education. Again, in talking to a lot of people in the community, no one has faith in decisions that are being made currently in the board members. And I hope to be able to change that if I'm elected.
Wow.
We need to change the funding process for education in New York State. The Albany is killing public education in New York State. There are districts that are going to go bankrupt next year. We need to get away from the property tax funding, and we need to change the legislature. The legislature in New York State is the most dysfunctional legislature in the U.S. We need to let Albany know what's going, that people are fed up. The second one is innovation. We need to bring in more programs which are innovative. Right now, we have totally changed over the ag program. We've brought in more technology to it. We've brought in more science to it. The third thing is, and this has been going on ever since I've been on the board, is more community involvement. We can never have enough community involvement in our schools. Thank you.
First thing I'd like to foster is more transparency. You can look up everything on our websites on 3 different spots and get 3 different answers. We need one consistent voice from the school board as well as the administration within the school district. Second is fiscal solvency. We cannot continue to raise taxes and live beyond our means and count on Albany to foot the rest of the bill. And we cannot continue to have a $2 million budget gap for the foreseeable future. And thirdly is looking towards, as Mr. Howe said, there will be a process with a new superintendent who will be searching for come June. I'd like to have a good say in that because we need somebody who's going to address the needs of the community, has a proven track record, and will be here for the long haul.
Janet?
I would improve upon communications between the school and the families. I think that's something that needs to be looked into. I would want to find alternative ways to fund programs. I know we have a new education foundation that's starting up, and I think that's a great resource for us to use to save programs. And I also would like to look into using volunteers more as a way of cutting costs. For example, as hall monitors or cafeteria aides or people that can work in the classroom. I would like to explore that. Thanks.
Foremost, I would like to work on bringing the community back together and getting more people involved. I want to stop the quick fix mentality we have. We need more long-term planning. Lastly, I'd like to work on our public image. I got an email from a friend down in Rockland who said she was thinking of moving up here. She heard wonderful things about her school districts. She began reading papers, looking on Facebook, and her words were exactly, there seems to be too much drama up there. She's like, I have no desire to live there at this point. We need to fix our public image. It's important. And thank you.
Okay, next question. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So next question. Because of declining state aid, $2.5 million in reductions were made in the proposed budget for next year, including the closing of a second school. Looking ahead, any potential increases in state or federal aid are not expected to keep pace with the rising costs of mandated and contractual expenses, while existing under a tax levy cap. Given this, future budget proposals may include even deeper budget reductions. In your opinion, what should the district's priorities be for next year when looking for additional ways to trim the budget? We'll start with that.
I'm going to have to look at information and see where we have space to tighten more. But I really am more looking at alternative funding, bringing in outside resources, our legislatures, and, you know, we elected them, so they need to hear from us.
I would look into getting more revenue to the districts by way of commercial business. We need to bring more revenue into the district from businesses, not just taxpayers and the state. I would also analyze the financial statements and look at all the expenses that we currently have and see where we can save money. There has to be ways to save money within the budget currently. Thank you.
Wow. Tough question. It is not fun being a board member at this time. I mean, Albany is killing us. Albany is killing us. I'll say that over again. Albany is killing us. We are not closing the school district. We are not closing the school next year. It's proposed, unfortunately, for 2 years now. We have contracts coming due. I've always been a proponent, and that's why I first got on the board. We do not cut programs and give raises. We have to, I mean, that's the reality. Burden of the district has to be shared by everybody. It cannot just fall on the students and the taxpayers. We are looking into, as you know, we're bringing in Greenwood Lake students. We tried to bring them in 5 years ago and the community said no. We saw this crisis coming 5 years ago. We have to be more open as a community to outside, possibilities. Thank you. Keith?
Look at a couple of things in addition to what my colleagues have actually said. One, definitely bringing in more commercial business. Nothing close on Main Street, but some warehouses someplace that can bring in rateables would be a definite plus. Look at some grants in the short term and also reach out to some other school districts that have gotten the increased funding, at least to bridge a gap in the short term. Have a 1-year, 5-year, and 10-year financial plan and fiscal solvency. One of the other things is looking out at busing. We spend a lot of money every year on transportation. Why not look at least take a couple of bids and find out if somebody else can do it cheaper? And with our declining enrollment, particularly in the middle and high school, we need to look at the programs which are underutilized and not utilized at all. Take that money and reinvest it in our students and our district.
I would want to look into pension smoothing for our teachers to see if that's a way that we could, it's a lot of money for retirement, and there's a new topic now that's for the New York State School Boards. It's pension smoothing, paying off over a longer period of time. So that might be something to consider. And also, I would just look over the budget and see if there were dual services and see what could be cut. It's unfortunate, but I think you can't have things like a business administrator and an accountant in these times. So things like that, you would have to make tough choices and be efficient.
I would look into combining resources with other districts to help alleviate some costs for both our districts. I would look into better uses of our current assets to generate revenue. We need to think of creative ways to get things done, through donations, alumni support, community support. I also think we need to widen our tax base through economic development, and we need to be more aggressive in pursuing grant money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think all these ideas are great, and I think that, I wouldn't be too quick to put too much blame on Albany, although I'm sure the waste there is, astronomical. But I recall, years ago there was this little budget up for a vote. It was voted down, and it was just kept putting through until it passed. I think that, maybe people did see this coming years ago, that we needed to rein in the spending. Just a note Newburgh was slated to close a school, but they have somehow closed a $3.2 million gap, and they did that through their Newburgh Teachers Association. And I know there's just a ton of waste. I know someone who was a custodian in the district, and even my 85-year-old aunt, who was a teacher a gazillion years ago, said that they used to just toss out construction paper and all this stuff, you know, back in the day, you know, so some things have never changed, and I guess now our backs are against the wall, and hopefully they will.
Okay, thank you. The next question. If this year's budget is not approved, it may have to go to contingency, which would require about $1.8 million in additional cuts from non-mandated areas. These non-mandated areas include kindergarten, full or half-day, nurses at each school, elementary media specialists, elementary counselors, elementary band and strings, middle school band and orchestra, and all extracurricular activity stipends, K through 12, athletics, varsity, JV, and modified. If a budget is not approved and the district has to go to contingency, where would you look to cut spending and why? We'll start with Sophia.
Well, again, I think we need to look at the resources we currently have and how we're using them. I think there has to be a better way to cut spending and finding a little bit more funding to keep these programs open. We were told that, you know, closing of King's would bridge the gap and there wouldn't be any, you know, programs that would be cut. But then a week later, we then were told that if the budget doesn't pass, programs will still be cut. Again, I'd like to get more information how this came about. It makes absolutely no sense, and I think being involved in this Board of Ed will give me the opportunity to look at the information at a more granular level.
Contingency budget would be devastating, and for that reason, the board has tried to keep the increase this year to a reasonable level. Past two budgets have passed pretty handily, so we're pretty confident that this budget will pass. If something has to get cut, the kindergarten is devastating. To cut kindergarten is devastating to education. The board would try everything possible to keep kindergarten. We would have to cut programs. We would have to, increase class sizes. The district does not want that. The district has been very clear they do not want, larger class sizes. They do not want programs cut. Quite confident that it will pass.
And looking at it, it's $1.8 million that we're going to have to bridge the gap on if we don't pass the budget. And as Mr. House said, they have a good, firm grasp that they might. However, if that does not pass, you could look at busing. Once again, we spend in some instances $3 to $6 million a year in busing. We don't have to spend all the money we do in that respect. We'd have to cut programs, yeah. Difficult decisions are going to have to be made. But do we need to make up the whole $1.8 million in one shot? Maybe we can tap into, our reserve fund. We have over $3 million in a reserve fund. In this district, we have almost $9 million in reserves for tax reserves, capital expenditures, and the reserve fund. Maybe we could tap into, whatever we're legally allowed to tap into to not impact and have to find $1.8 million. Maybe we could find, $1.5 million.
Shannon?
I agree with Bob. I think a contingency budget would be terrible. And I definitely think, I guess it's because I'm an elementary school teacher, but I would say kindergarten. And then, so probably programs. I would try to think of creative ways to save whatever we can through parent support and education foundation and volunteers. But I think kindergarten is definitely something that you can't cut.
I agree with Shannon, you can't cut kindergarten. I couldn't even imagine cutting kindergarten and have someone just being shot into the first grade with all that's expected of them. I don't even think it's an option. Also, I kind of agree with Keith. We would need to look into our resources that we have, you know, before cutting programs. We do have reserve funds we could use, emergency funds that should be used in an instance like this.
Well, I guess too, you know, I wasn't able to get down the full list of, I'm not sure about the public schools and if parents have to pay into when their child is playing sport. I know in the Catholic school system, it's very expensive. You know, if your kid plays basketball or football, you're dishing out $500, $700. I don't know if that's all covered, and you know how these gaps would be done. But I guess I remember a few years ago there was a threat of the one of the sports was it? And there were kids picketing in the village. You know, we want to have lacrosse. I guess it was or something. And it was voted down, but somehow they got the lacrosse in. So I think there are ways to probably, you know, cut a little bit from everything so we can keep most things.
Well, I have to say that one of my strengths is that I'm a data geek. I like information, I absorb information, and I like to ask questions about information. And Rob and other board members could add on that, I'm pretty sure, because I can be a little bit of a nag too. I would ask questions, I'd find out what's going on in other districts, see who's, because everyone's, New York State's all in the same boat. And I've had an opportunity to talk to some other districts about other subjects, and it's very enlightening to see what people are doing. So that would be something that I want to do. I still say, you know, organizations like Parents for Change that are doing so much work to find alternate funding. We have to get creative, and I'm very creative.
Okay. If elected to the board, you would be a member of the team that would select our district's next superintendent. What qualities and characteristics would you be looking for in this new leader? We'll start with Bob.
We want an education leader. There's no doubt that education is changing. We cannot keep the old way of doing things. We need a superintendent who's proficient in technology. Also, we need someone who thinks outside the box, gets involved with the community. There's no doubt that consolidation is coming. Our smaller districts, Greenwood Lake in Florida, they don't want to get absorbed, but we need to consolidate. There's no reason for there to be 3 superintendents, 3 business managers, 3 food service managers in this small area. So, we need someone who has a track record, but again, we need an education innovator. Thank you.
We need somebody with a proven track record who can come in here and solve our financial problems, as well as foster education for our students on a going forward basis. In addition, we need somebody who is going to support technology, because we do have an ever-changing society that we need to look forward to. And we need somebody who's going to be here for the long haul. The last couple of superintendents we have were here for the last 3 years of their career and then retired. We need somebody, I'm not saying we need a young person, I'm saying we need somebody who's going to be here in 5 years, 10 years down the line, and wants their contract renewed every couple of years, so that we can look forward to and have our kids look up to this person, whoever they may be.
I would like to look for someone who has a background in things other than education. So someone who has taken courses in business or in public policy, and therefore the superintendent could wear dual hats. You don't just have to be an education major. And also someone who has good references, someone with excellent communication skills, someone who would be a good match for our community and our families. I think that's it.
I think we need someone who has a strong educational background mixed with a financial understanding of how a district is run. We need someone who understands our community and is willing to be accessible to them. We need a strategic thinker, someone who's not afraid to think out of the box. We need someone who has the courage of their convictions. When they make a recommendation, they need to be 100% confident that they've done their due diligence in the research before making such a recommendation. And they need to have a willingness to stand by their decision. I think we need an experienced and proven superintendent, one who has helped districts in a similar situation to ours. That slide just threw me off. I was on a roll now. And can agree with and support our vision.
I agree with everyone, someone who is up on technology and is involved in education, obviously, but also someone with common sense, someone that, I think that's what's lacking in a lot of areas in education, politics, just someone with common sense and who's grounded in what they believe, and someone invested in the community that can help.
I'd like to see someone who has a strong track record in academic performance with previous districts. Excellent references. But really the thing that I think is very important to our community is that this person be excited about the future of Warwick. That this person could have a vision and want to be here and be excited every day to be working and living here.
I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but I'm currently in school right now, obtaining my MBA with a concentration in accounting. And to me, I think the next superintendent needs to have a background in business. The school district is a business. Yes, the education is important. We absolutely need someone with an educational background, but we need someone who understands all aspects of the business. So I would look for someone with credentials as an MBA or, a PhD or whatever, some sort of business background. And also, I would say someone who is not so involved in the politics in the community. We need someone to be neutral and make the best decision for the kids. And we also need someone that's going to be fiscally responsible and understanding of what a budget looks like, what it should look like, and how to read and create a budget.
Okay, looking to the future, how do you feel regarding